We set up a time to meet prior to when we start. When you show up 3 minutes before you start,
I was here. I was trying to get this thing situated. It sucks.
I show up typically an hour before the show.
Yeah, tell the people why their time is invaluable. Well, hello. You're listening to the most downloaded HVAC entertainment podcast in the world. Welcome to the HVAC Overtime Show, everybody.
What is up?
What is up, gentlemen?
The sky is up. It's blue.
Hard
It's
dicks and
round.
airplanes.
And I have a pickle. Just in
Hey, you
case.
finally fished that out of there, huh?
Yeah.
I bet that was a shocker.
Bill sends me the most creative gifts out there. So, yeah.
But they're all like, now that I think about it, they could be oddly sexualized very easily.
Yeah. Well,
I sent you a Banana Man doll, a pickle.
What happened to the Banana Man doll?
Yeah, that is a good question.
How can a potato be sexualized, bro?
I mean,
I'm sure if you search that on the internet, never mind.
Yes,
you can find
yes.
anything.
I think the video is something like potato and jelly.
So, yeah, the
along those
question
lines.
about Adam.
Well, Mr. Big Shot
Yeah.
is doing some stuff with the HVAC overtime, or HVAC school rather. So we've been trying to pull him away from that, but I think he's busy writing the script for the next the condensate drain line install discussion part 2. He's probably busy with that, or
maybe he's writing Manual X. I don't know.
Yeah, Manual XYZ. Who knows?
Never know these days.
But the point is he's just too big for us anymore. Too cool, too big. Too many important people are fluffing his feathers, if you know what I'm saying.
Or is he fluffing their? He's the actual fluffer now, is what he is.
Yeah, he's fluffing their feathers.
Fluffing their feathers for sure.
Cupping the balls.
What's up with you, Joe? Why are you so quiet?
Oh, that's why he's quiet.
look at that guy.
Jesus Christ. Here, let's all pretend we're doing Joe's voice. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Joe.
Guess what? I got my butthole waxed.
Guess what?
I was muted. Unbelievable.
Once when I was a teenager, I stuck my wiener in some wood stain to see if it would look like a tree branch.
I'm gonna talk over you, Bill. Hey, I hear that bell and I hear the guy in the background. When did it come on screen?
Ooh.
Big Shot.
Ooh.
You.
Big
Look
slot.
at that. He graced us with his presence.
All the way from Florida himself, from the HVAC school, the one and only Adam Muffitch.
Exactly.
There's
It's
a
not my
space
normal
in there.
spot, is it?
Muffitch.
Oh, I don't know. You got demoted, bro.
Good one.
No, for me, it's
Jesus.
your normal spot. Where are you at on the screen on your side?
Nobody cares.
Top right corner? You're
Yeah.
right there, huh? You're right there.
Yeah.
So what is new, guys? It's been a while since we've all been together. Everybody's been ditching us. We've been all doing our own thing. I wasn't supposed to be here today, actually.
Yeah,
I
you
had
canceled your plans to cancel.
Yeah, I canceled my plans to cancel. So
But that's because your family's gone, right?
no, my wife and my daughter leave on Monday morning. They leave, but tonight
Right.
they're getting ready. They're doing
okay.
I think they're going to get their nails done or something to go get ready for their trip.
Mm.
So their worldwide extravaganza. They're going on some school field trip to Europe, Paris, I think,
Oh,
or
cool.
something.
That's awesome.
So
You know, what is it? That must be nice to like go out and do things. I was thinking about this. The last couple of weeks of my life have just been repetitive. I go to work
Yeah.
all week. I come home. Saturday we go grocery shopping. Sit at home trying to find a good movie to watch. Saturday night. Sunday is go to the mall. Like
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
answer is yes.
you know, Bill.
Thanks, Brian.
So I think it's
That's
just
great.
something that happens when you hit middle age and you are officially old.
yeah.
Our
You-
Saturdays or Sundays are usually Costco trips in our house, and then we go spend a ridiculous amount of money to buy a small amount of food because of shrinkflation.
at a restaurant.
No, we buy
Yeah.
it from Costco, and then we come home and pack the fridge, and then we eat, rinse, and repeat the next weekend. It seems like we go to
You
Costco
know,
every other weekend.
I know this is like a huge subject everywhere. It's on every TikTok video, every
Gender.
post. Groceries, man. So I just went grocery shopping tonight, actually, instead of tomorrow. But we went grocery shopping, and going grocery shopping is just it's a horrible experience. It wasn't actually that bad today. I saved a little bit of money and stuff. But what makes it even better is when you come home and then your kids like go make some food and then immediately waste it. It's like buying groceries it's not a hobby of mine. Like I don't enjoy doing it. Like, and you just like, let's just waste that. I don't care. I don't
Have
care
you
about your
guys hit
cereal,
the
Dad.
point where you get I feel I don't know what the right word to describe this. I feel wrong when I go to my fridge and I grab a soda. Like I feel guilty now. And I'm like, I can't drink that because of how much sugar's in it. And I'm like,
Diet.
I have yet to be diagnosed anything from a doctor, but yet when I pick up a can of soda, I feel guilt. I'm like, I shouldn't be. And
That's
then when
weird.
I go to get something sweet out of the fridge, I'm like, I shouldn't be.
It's
Like,
because it's sugary. Like, are you getting fat?
But what are you
I'm
getting
just
diagnosed with?
worried. I'm worried
About
that
what?
about going to the doctor and then telling me because all you guys have been going to the doctor and telling me about all your stuff, and then I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm kind
I
of
got a
afraid.
physical. I got a physical recently. I have a little bit high what do you say? How do you call it?
Chloroform.
Yeah,
Chloroform. No wonder. No
Chloroform.
wonder. Ding.
My enzymes and my liver are a little elevated. What was the other thing? It was something. Oh, I have low vitamin
Feel when
D.
it beat off.
The frick, right?
Oh,
You
but no, you're
guys.
part of the reason, Adam, because you bring that stuff up, and I'm like, oh man, I know I have every one of
So,
those things.
And check this out. So, I'm not. What do you call it? You know, we were talking about the whole ADHD thing, like at the symposium and that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I'm like going through the whole thing, like, should I get medication or not? I want to see if I should get diagnosed. So I try to make an appointment. Do you know the soonest available appointment I can go to get evaluated for ADHD?
like what?
November.
December 20th.
December?
December.
Dude, you're gonna get so distracted and forget by then.
Yeah.
No way you make it. to
Right?
that.
Pun? No pun
I
intended.
feel like that's part of like some sort of a
That's
test.
part of the test.
Right.
Well, no, do you want to know the best part? So like when you're calling to make an appointment, they want you to like leave this message, and they tell you like, we want you to leave your name, your insurance carrier, your insurance number, why you're calling, and there's like 10 different things, maybe even more, that they want you to leave on this message. And I
That's
got
a test.
overwhelmed and I hung up the phone. I'm like,
That's
I
a
can't
test,
do
yeah.
this.
bro. They're like,
Yeah.
I bet you if you show up to that appointment on your scheduled time, they'll be like, hey, congratulations, you don't have ADHD. You showed up.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You passed.
And it's just
You're
like an
good.
empty
Go
warehouse.
home.
There's like a desk, just a lady sitting there, empty warehouse. Maybe they sell mattresses out of the back. I don't know. But
Yes.
should be like, hey, you don't have it, because if you did, you would have forgot about this
Right.
months ago.
I
Right.
will say that I highly encourage anybody out there to get serious for a second. You know, don't feel guilty about seeing a therapist or anything like that. I did go see a therapist a couple years back, and it helped me a lot.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah, 100%. If you feel like you need to talk to a therapist, even if you feel like you shouldn't, do it. It's so easy
See,
these days. So,
Now, Tom Leck, however you say it there, I completely agree with what he's saying there, based on only a few years of experience, because I had been diagnosed with, I don't know, it was ADD back in high school. I got diagnosed with that, and I got on some medication, and like I just almost immediately I knew I wasn't right. Like I felt real weird. I was doing better in school. Like I focused great.
Yeah.
But there was a definite shift in my personality. And I told my mom, like, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it makes me feel like I'm a different person. But then again, like back then, they probably weren't as advanced.
But like, what
as they
happened
are
to your
now.
personality? Like, what was the change?
It was like the best way I could describe it is I was very muted. I went from being like goofing off in school and like just being like how I am now, basically, to all of a sudden I didn't talk in school. I was very just like zombified almost.
So you were the perfect student.
Exactly.
You were the perfect student.
I was getting like A- and B+ in classes I never even paid attention in before.
So when I went to the doctor, mine was for anger, believe it or not. But when I went to the doctor, they put me on medication, and my wife calls it the 18 months that I slept. Like, that's literally, it made me sleep. Now, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of it because it helped me, but because then I was going to therapy at the same time, and it helped me to learn how to process things and stop bottling things up and all that crap. But I don't currently take any medication, haven't taken any for over 10 years, but it definitely was something I needed to do. So it definitely helped me.
See, like my biggest thing with it is, and again, guys, I'm not a scientist. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm not a scientist. But I don't think the science is there for them to say, all right, everybody, if you take this one drug, it will affect you this way. Obviously, everybody's different. The effects are different on everybody. So I think a lot of times they're just like playing with stuff. They're like, all right, take 10 milligrams of this. You felt like you're going to kill yourself. Maybe back it down to 5. No, still want to kill yourself. All right, take 15 of this. You slept all the time. And then they just like, they play with it till they find a balance.
Yeah.
Somewhere. And to me, I think that's dangerous. Now, what's the solution? I don't know. But
now, one thing I will say, and I'm going to ask you guys, we haven't talked about this yet, but ever since we came back from the symposium, we've all been kind of talking about things, because when we were at the symposium, we all, the last time that Bill went to the symposium, he recognized this. And then when Adam and I went again, we all got to recognize it, where we realized how similar everybody in that group of people is similar to us. And we all kind of act the same, do the same things, have very similar tendencies.
Well, I wouldn't say we're all very, very different, but we're all like on the same. It's like a weird thing when you start.
I'm not saying
we're very different people, but we're all on the same weird scale.
Yeah, we're all on the same. We're all on the same short bus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fair point to say. So, but
like ADHD, like, so what are some of the symptoms that you get? I know, Adam, you kind of talked about it in our super secret chat, like the ADHD symptoms are like I think you'd mentioned like caffeine doesn't affect you how it affects normal people, I should say.
Well, that's what I've never taken medication for it or anything else, but like, so I started seeing a therapist, right? I'm throwing this out there for everybody. Don't be ashamed of it, like Chris said. And I was talking to her about ADHD, which I actually just started taking this is the first thing I've ever taken, like, or started, how do I say that? First thing I've ever taken for anything mental health related is taking like the Zoloft for anxiety, because I get real bad anxiety at times. Like, I freak out. I was going to say earlier, you were talking about Costco. I went to Costco earlier this week with my wife, and I had like 2 anxiety attacks.
What is an anxiety attack? Honestly, I don't even know. I think I had one once, but I don't really know.
I've had once, a couple times. I've had one.
Like, I mean, I've had them. I
think they affect everybody differently. First off,
yeah, there's different levels of severity, I think, too. Right.
For me, it's just the stress of the week really kicking in, and then all of the sudden, for me, it's the littlest things just start. They feel like they're the end of the world, and then I become paranoid.
I agree, JJ.
I become paranoid, and then I'm not rational anymore, and I'm like, that's not going to work. And my wife will come in, and I'm like, that's not going to work. Stop! You don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just start losing my shit, and I just have a fucking meltdown. For me, but it's all just stress building up, and then it just, and then I explode. But
so we got like anxiety is obviously focus is a symptom.
See, my focus is it goes in waves. I haven't been able to focus lately. I feel like I've been slacking off.
Me too. I can't focus on educational stuff, like the things that I know I should focus on, but I don't want to. And Adam had said that he has an issue focusing on stuff. And I'm like, this is the guy that read all the manuals, the manual A, B, C, D, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Like
Yep.
he read all that dumb shit. And he's like, yeah, I have a hard time focusing. I'm like, dude.
Well, like, so I go through like periods, you know. I actually talked to Ty about this. Like, I knew this was an ADHD thing. I just didn't know if it, because I have some like stuff going on right now that's been like messing with my head a little bit, you know. And like
Dude,
I
mean,
just
let me-
cannot
let me
focus on
just say
anything.
this,
Like, I
and
can't.
everybody that's in the chat that's watching right now too, we're all going to be supportive of your gender transition, Adam. So like, stop being anxious about it, bro. Just let it happen.
Yeah, it's fine.
So
Ding.
you're
I
fine.
I mean, I told you the first time I met you, it's okay to have pancake nipples.
Speaking of gender, yeah.
No.
Big Five. Hey, how are you?
But anyways, I was gonna say earlier you were talking about like the caffeine thing. So the therapist was telling me that like, all right, so you take like Adderall. Like if a normal person takes Adderall that doesn't have ADHD, they feel like they're on speed, like they're going a million miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
But like some people with ADHD, their brain never stops. They're thinking nonstop, like 24/7. They can't sleep at night and everything else. So like when you take the Adderall or whatever, it tends to like calm your brain.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
got a counteractive effect.
Right. And they say the same thing about caffeine. And like we've talked about this in the past, like in the morning, I stop for 4 shots of espresso. And that's like, that helps me like just calm into the day, get going. And my wife makes fun of me because like I'll come home from work with a Red Bull and I'll be sitting on the couch and I'll drink my Red Bull and then I'll just like fall asleep on the couch. She's like, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, you know the crazy thing? Like I used to drink a lot of Red Bulls and they just stopped tasting good to me one day. Like, and it just snapped. Like they started tasting like Flintstone vitamins to me. Like, and I was like, I can't, what happened? Like something, the flavor changed and people was like, no.
Red Bulls to me taste like just pure chemical.
I know,
just-
right?
They are. So it's
You
funny
might as well
you bring
drink
that up
shampoo.
because I think that a lot of our problems have to do with chemicals. And I think it has a lot to do with the food
What
that
we
we
eat?
eat and
Yeah.
the processed food. Like there's nothing that's processed that is good for you. It's all bullshit. So
Yeah.
I think
I 100% agree.
Another thing that they say about some people with ADHD is they have like problems with addiction, which I drink a heck of a lot. Like, you know, the last beer I had was on the show
Long
with
time ago.
Bill
I've never-
Spone.
I've never told you this, Adam, but like
I want the
was
first
thinking
beer
about
I
this
have to be on the
recently, and
show.
I'm genuinely sorry. I didn't know you were drinking that much.
Yeah.
I really didn't know that you were
A
finishing.
lot of people
bottles.
don't.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't notice that.
I'm not. I
I think
tried
we
to
were all
encourage it.
like quite a bit. Besides,
I mean,
Bill.
Yeah,
Oh,
besides
yeah.
me. Like I know there was a time where Chris is like 6-7 beers into it and he's all sloshing around over there. And
It was
Joe,
6 to 8 a night during
not
COVID,
terrible, but-
especially, dude. I was, it was
and
bad.
then I'm here like trying to anchor the show down, and a bunch of yahoos are all drunk up in all the other corners. They're like,
I feel bad for-
"Woo."
Now I feel bad because, well, I think Joe drinks every once in a while, but I'm like the only person that drinks now. So
Yeah, you and Joe. I guess you guys can hang out and be friends then.
yeah, if
That was-
Joe would let me be his friend.
What's
but he
this with the
won't.
HVAC questions?
That was great talk, guys. But let's switch it up now. This is gonna be really TED talk. But anyways,
I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna keep you guys up to date on my whole progress
Yeah.
of my therapy and my drugs and that. You know,
Do
Well,
a lot of
wait.
people are going through. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
not
go
now.
ahead.
I'm just saying in
Answer the
general,
back
in the
to Boyle
future.
because I'm going to bring it back. But answer.
I
the
would
back
venture to say
Oh,
that
I know.
everybody that's still paying attention in the chat probably has ADHD as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Why?
I would-
Why you would think that they wouldn't be paying attention anymore?
Probably got
Right?
distracted by the letters on the keyboard.
yeah.
Right?
Is it not okay? So let's talk about this. Like, it's so frustrating for me lately because I have so many monitors that I come in here to do work because I do my normal work out of my office too, and I'll come in here to do work, and then I multitask on everything, right? So I got emails for the videos pulled up here. I
This
got
one goes
work
back to the
emails
other one.
here, and then I just get distracted and I get absolutely fucking nothing done in a day because I get.
You know what I
easily-
just got? Which here it's right here. I got
Oh,
a
I lost the
timer.
original question.
This,
it's fun-
I got to figure out how to use it, but it's a timer and you push it and it's a countdown timer and you could set it for different amounts of time. So you could try to like stay on task for X amount of time and then you could have a few minute break to do something.
I,
Like,
I
you
got
know,
one of those too. It's in my phone, and you just hit timer.
Timer?
and
You
then-
yeah,
know,
but it's like big numbers where I could see it, you know?
See, I can't do that. I would watch that the entire time. You know, and this brings up a good point. So Chris recently gifted me like a bunch of, he got rid of all of his Android stuff, right? And he sent it to me. I'm like, super cool. And he sent me a smartwatch, and I tried wearing it, and I'm like just watching like the whole day. I'm like, what time is it? And I'm like,
You know,
oh, it's been 11 minutes. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I use my smartwatch for 2 things. They have like 700 features in them. 2 fucking things. Number 1,
Yeah,
time. Number two is notifications or emails.
Yeah.
And I don't have to pull my phone out. I just look at my watch.
I had like the first generation Samsung watch, and my phone would beep, and I'd be waiting for I'd go like this to wait for and it would never show up on and I'm like, I got rid of this stupid thing.
Dude, see, I feel bad because I had to stop wearing it. I'm like, Chris gave this to me, and I felt really special. Bro. But then I can't, because I just kept looking at it all day. Like I'm driving, I'm just like staring at it. I'm like, oh shit, I'm driving. I'm just like staring at my watch.
What we were going to talk about a couple of things HVAC related.
Oh, I got a list.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that question the guy had about
I got a list of stuff here.
The difference on the vacuum oil and like, let's say auto oil. Yeah, but I did, and he asked if you could use compressor oil, and I did have 2 old timers that told me they, in a pinch, they use compressor oil in their vacuum pump, and it didn't do anything. It worked.
Okay, so I don't know the science behind it. I don't know, I know that most isn't most vacuum pump oil just mineral oil anyways?
Yeah, I think something with the vapor pressure too, or something.
I don't know about that. I don't know, but I just wonder about the viscosity of the oil and whether or not if you put it in the vacuum pump, if that's going to be well, no, because it's not mechanical parts running through the oil in a vacuum pump. It's just pulling the refrigerant through the oil. So I don't know, dude. I'm not.
In the vacuum pump oil itself is actually what's used to create the seal.
Right.
Yeah.
In the pump.
And I think car oil, they add additives. They add things to car oil and stuff. It's not as refined as a vacuum pump oil.
And maybe some of you geniuses in the chat can think of this. And so there's an actual name, like it's obviously it's a vacuum pump, but the pump motor itself, at least the one that I'm thinking about, I took a JB pump apart a while back, and it operates the same exact way as a Fryer oil pump operates, where it's not like compressing it, but it's almost like a rotary, but there's a specific name for that style of pump. And I can't remember off the top of my head. You should totally care, Chris.
I don't give a fuck what vacuum. They just work, dude. No, but I heard an explanation. Someone explained like how vacuum pumps work and how the 2-stage works. And I was like, that's too fucking complicated. Like, I don't need that in my life. I just turn it on.
That's big picture learning right there, Chris.
Yeah, that makes it. I can't remember. There was a better. Somebody did do a test on which one had the best vacuum oil, like at Yellow Jacket or New Calgon or something like that.
Rotary vane, I think that's what it is.
The best vacuum pump oil is the oil that's available at the store.
Right.
Fucking JB oil. That's what
I
my
like
supply house has.
JB comes in the black jugs,
black gold, man.
Well, and I just buy the little, the ones that are smaller than a pint because
they got the little pointer cap on them.
You can put it on there. I don't, but the field piece vacuum pump barely takes any.
Well, how do you get? You just like dump it in there all willy nilly?
Yeah, because the hole on the field piece is huge, like that fucking big. So it's not like trying to fill up a JB pump. That's stupid.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Side note, not talking about the field piece because they're pretty quick and there's not that much oil in that. But I found I didn't know this, and I sound super stupid because I'm sure everyone here knows it. But when you're changing vacuum pump oil, I didn't realize how to get the oil out of a pump really quick.
Oh, plug the thing and
turn it on. Yeah.
On the JB one, yeah.
And it just blasts out in like 2 seconds. Otherwise, you're sitting there like a jerk off watching the thing drain for 5 minutes, Yeah.
Well, or you can your best bet is to change the vacuum pump oil when it's hot. So then it's a lot thinner and it'll come out faster. But on the JB pump, if you block off the exhaust port, and it'll blast it out the oil drain really quick. And
I never knew that.
Yeah, the JB people do that. Well, don't do it unless you're in a place where you can make a mess, because if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna go.
It makes like smoke everywhere too. By the way,
yeah.
Knock It Off says, I had a vacuum pump lose power overnight years ago on a 22 semi. When I got there the next morning, the pump oil was all sucked into the system that compressed ran for years.
Yeah, all vacuum pump, and that's something that's frustrating. Is like I love the field piece vacuum pump, but it doesn't have a check valve in it, and they need to have check valves in every vacuum pump so that way if they lose power. But let's go on the flip side too. We really don't need, unless you're working on a chiller that's giant, you don't need to be using vacuum pumps overnight. If you have large diameter hoses, you can pull down most systems. I guess it's arguable on maybe like a giant VRF system or a giant supermarket system that you're pulling down the whole system.
Yeah, you got miles of copper you're pulling through.
On a package unit, you don't need to be leaving no vacuum pumps on overnight. So not anymore. Like, but stop pulling through the Schraders. Stop pulling through the 1/4-inch hoses.
Yeah.
So I want to bring something up. Couple weeks ago on the HVAC school live stream, we had what was the guy? What was his name now? I feel like jerk off. I don't remember his name.
I don't know. Tell us a little bit more of the story.
Oh, you're talking about Jim Jansen from Sportland?
Yeah, from Sportland. All right. So we were talking about filter dryers, and it was like a whole thing about filter dryers or cleaning up systems, right? And I was kind of arguing this point. All right. So we were talking about specifically Matt from the HVAC school live stream asked him a question. Goodman, Daikin, and Amana units put their filter dryers internal to the condenser, right? So it comes on the unit, factory installed. And now let's say you have a customer that wants to relocate the condenser, or they're getting a patio poured or whatever, right? And you're going to pump down the unit, close the valves. Now, do you not pump down the unit? Do you recover all the refrigerant? And then do you cut out that filter dryer? And then are you adding more contaminants to the system? Right? Now you're pulling on the oil from the compressor, or do you leave the filter dryer in? Question. What is worse? What's the worst case scenario?
Okay. In that situation, best case scenario, I would say your best bet is to recover the gas, move the dryer outside of the condenser, make it easier for the next guy, change it, move on. But when I was talking to you, you made a point, and I really started thinking about this. On a residential system, if you pump the system down and then you shut both service valves when it's pumped down and shut off, technically, you don't need to change the dryer as long as you're flowing with nitrogen, because there's nothing to get into the refrigerant oil, and the dryer still has minor pressure in it, and still has refrigerant in it because it's inside the system. Now, best practices say to still change the dryer, but there, as long as you flow with nitrogen when you're brazing.
So let's talk about the downsides of replacing it. Number one, like first thing, it's going to take way longer. Not saying that you're trying to cut corners and make things quick and easy or whatever else, but if you've ever pulled a vacuum on a system that has open compressor oil, it is substantially longer if there's been refrigerant in the oil, right? And then also, now what are you going to do? Are you taking that refrigerant? Are you putting it into a recovery cylinder? And then are you reusing that refrigerant? That recovery cylinder, was it clean?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Good point.
So, okay, next thing, there was a couple comments here. Joe Shear made a good point, and that's something that Adam and I were talking about. Is it potentially already contaminated, the existing dryer? That's something that we need to talk about. Adam raised a good point. In residential systems, there's no way to check whether it's contaminated besides doing a temperature drop across the dryer. Temperature drops can be a little deceiving because it's hard to see minute pressure drops with a temperature drop. When you see a 5-degree temp drop, that dryer's probably plugged solid, right? Or it's really, well, not solid, but it's probably plugged up. If you could check pressure drop across and you could see it, it would be a little bit easier. So that's something you need to be concerned about, was whether or not it's contaminated. But we're talking on a perfectly operating system that has no contamination. I personally wouldn't like to do it, but you could get away without changing the dryer, as long as when you pump it down, you shut off both service valves once it shuts off, because then you're isolating the compressor and the existing dryer that has desiccant in it from the system, and then you move the condensing unit, you purge with nitrogen, sweep it through when you're brazing it back into wherever it's going to be. Technically, if you do everything right, there's no reason to have to change the dryer.
I'm not telling people not to replace dryers. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, like, is there a time and a place? Like, I think you should understand what the best practice is, but like,
Yeah.
you know,
I've
my
left them in. So,
my question is too, like, hey, mini splits don't
Yeah.
have dryers, right?
right.
No.
So
Well, they don't have dryers because they assume that people are going to install them correctly. Now, the funny thing is,
true.
175% of the mini splits that are installed are not installed correctly. So nobody's following best practices. Like, I mean, majority of the mini splits installs are just hacked in, you know, and I know there's some guys doing it right, but being a little,
that's all I needed to read right there.
yeah.
End of discussion.
Close. What's the next subject?
Now,
Yeah.
I, again, am always trying to remember, like, okay, when I have to change this dryer next time, why not get the hard part over now? Go ahead and recover, get it out of there, put it in the air handler, put it in, you know, outside. So that way it's easier to change next time. That's mine. As a business owner, you know, I want to change the dryer because you make more money that way and you're protecting the system and covering your butt.
So this is a funny thing, you know, I want to, that was one thing we talked about too, is suction line filter dryers. And that is actually a topic. You're always supposed to remove those eventually, you know, during, you know, after the system cleanup or whatever, and you might have to do it several times. And I have a question. I want to know how many people out there actually bid when they're changing a compressor to go back 2 or 3 times to replace the suction line filter dryer.
Very seldom
in residential is that a reality?
I bet it's highly recommended.
Not in residential.
No.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say majority of the times you actually don't even need a suction line filter dryer because you're going to create more problems than solve. A good liquid line filter dryer is going to filter everything. Now, I understand that if someone's been resetting a circuit breaker over and over and over again and just cooking that oil and it's somehow spread throughout the system, yeah, there's an argument for a suction dryer that's needed. But if you can't go back and change that dryer multiple times, if that's not feasible with their budget, I'd say don't install a suction line filter dryer at all and just put a liquid line filter dryer, put pressure taps on both sides and be done.
Like, I would venture to say that even if you had a really, really bad contaminated system, you could, you know, pull the condenser, pull the compressor, whatever you're going to do, you could flush that evaporator and the line set out enough that a liquid line dryer, like Chris was saying, would be more than sufficient.
Yeah.
So this is actually one of the things we spoke about. So there's different types. There's dryers, like liquid line filter dryers. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, most of the time that's for moisture only. And then the suction line filter dryers, they have a carbon desiccant, and then they also have an acid desiccant. There's different types.
So you can get, there's 2 different types of dryers that you can use for suction and liquid line.
I was going to say that, Steve.
Surprisingly, I was misinformed for many years. So let's just say a Sporlan HH dryer. The HH used to, in my head, mean high acid. It doesn't. It actually doesn't mean high acid. What it means, the HH means that it has finer particulate in it to catch the wax that the acid washed off the old windings of the old compressor. So an HH dryer is not for high acid. It's actually for wax removal. And that was something that for the longest time I used to talk about it like, oh yeah, that's an HH. It's a high acid dryer. No, it's not. It's actually just high wax removal. That's what it is. So it's just there to catch the fine particulates of the wax that are washed off the windings is all that it's there. I leave in suction line filter dryers because on the commercial side, most of the suction line filter dryers that I have, they have pressure taps across them. And I just check the pressure drop, and then I'll recommend changing the suction line filter dryer when I come back if I need to. But I'll leave them in if I put them in. But most of the time, they're more of a pain in the butt to put in. So, oh, see, and there you go. Al Anonymous is saying activated carbon captures wax. So, yep. Now, as far as liquid line filter dryers, you know, I install those. I'll install an HH when I have a burnout or something. And then what I do is I don't use flushes. I don't use additives. And I will just cut different components out of the system. So, because I'm working on package units, right? So they're bigger. So I'm going to cut the condenser on both sides and I'm going to blast it with nitrogen. I'm going to create a pressure, you know, I'm going to block off one side, push nitrogen through it. As long as I don't get a bunch of crap coming out of it, I'm not going to put a suction line filter dryer in there. And I do the same thing for the evaporator. The rest of the lines, I'll push stuff through, and then I just let the dryer do the work and clean the system up if need be.
Yep. And I remember one time I was following up after a technician who had replaced a compressor, and I don't know how he did this, but he put the filter dryer, the liquid line filter dryer, he put it on the hot gas discharge line going into the condenser.
Oh,
and
I remember that one, dude.
It blew apart basically into the condenser, and it was a complete mess. And I did what Chris was saying. I cut it apart, cut the condenser, separated it, isolated it, blasted it with nitrogen, got as much crap out of there as I could. And I did the same to the evaporator as well. I mean, the whole system was just clogged up. I had to change the fixed orifice metering devices. It was a train. But after all that, I put it back together, and I mean, put a liquid line dryer on it, and it seemingly ran fine for a number of years till we lost that contract eventually. And I don't know if it's still running or not.
So a couple of things too, good point too. Every system is going to be different, and you have to evaluate each one. If you have a very complex system with hot gas defrost or with reheat or something like that in it, you might have to do something different. It might be difficult, but still, okay. So let's talk about the negatives of leaving a dryer in that gets restricted. So what's the problem with leaving a suction line filter dryer in the system? Why is it that Sporlan says to take it out? The reason why is they're afraid of the pressure drop. Okay. If you start to restrict a filter dryer, or if a filter dryer is not sized appropriately and it has a pressure drop across it, we don't think it's a big deal, but it drastically reduces the efficiency of the system. And every time refrigerant's flowing through a refrigeration system, air conditioner, heat pump, or refrigeration system, it's pulling oil with that refrigerant, and that oil has to make it back to the compressor. The only way that oil gets back to the compressor is if you have proper refrigerant velocity. If you don't have that refrigerant moving through the system fast enough at the right flow rate, the oil's not going to travel with it, and that oil's going to pool up somewhere, and it's going to get stuck in the evaporator. And I'm sorry, but there's not an easy way to get oil out of an evaporator. People out there might say, oh yeah, disconnect the condenser fan motor, build up the system pressure. Okay, there's not an easy way to do it. None of that crap's really going to work. No. It's all just kind of winging it, So oversize your filter dryers. Oversize the fuck out of them, okay? Put big filter dryers, especially if you think it's contaminated. Put a big filter dryer in there, because putting in too small of a filter dryer is a problem. Keep in mind, too, manufacturers of a package unit, when you buy a package unit, Lennox package unit, you might find it has a 5 cubic inch liquid line filter dryer in it. Okay. So technician B goes to replace that compressor, and he puts in a 5 cubic inch filter dryer. When he does that, Lennox didn't size that filter dryer to clean the system up. They sized it just to be there as a safety precaution. So it doesn't take a 5 cubic inch on the aftermarket side. It takes a 16 cubic inch, to properly clean the system when you actually have problems in it. So you need to keep that in mind too.
Jason Johnson, bigger system also have multiple solenoid valves as well. Don't forget to put your magnet on it. If it has EEVs, make sure they are open. On train, you can command them 100%.
That's a good point. Well, hey, let's segue into something else here that I wanted to talk about.
We had go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say, like, right in the middle of my sentence.
We can't talk an hour about
I'm really good at that, dude. I'm really good at just taking
just take the spotlight. I mean, whatever. No, so Adam has I don't know where he's at in the process, because Adam doesn't have as much time to talk to us anymore in our super secret chat, so I don't really know the whole story just yet. But Adam is doing a little bit of side work for this apartment complex, I guess, that's having issues, or had issues, or they had questions regarding a bunch of systems that were installed. So Adam went out there and did some sizing, some load calcs, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't do load calcs.
No?
Well, I did it. I did some initially in the apartments, but not in the clubhouse, no.
All right, well, that's all my questions. Let's
the next one.
Next one. All right, next one.
No. I'm curious to know.
So Joe posted the video
on a short in the overtime, guys. The short.
Yeah. So like he wanted me to. They hired me initially He hired me. All right. So they asked me to bid on the job, and I told them no. Like, I don't want the job. It's too much. It's just I don't have enough manpower to take it on. Right. So. after they came up with the prints for this job. He asked me to take a look at them and tell me my opinion, if everything looked good or not. And I just looked at it for like 2 seconds. I'm like, no, this is all BS for the apartments. And he asked why. And I told him because they're 1,200 square foot apartments and they're using freaking 2.5 or 3 ton condensers.
Damn.
And there's like one outside wall with like apartment above, or apartment below. No way. So it turned into a big deal. And they ended up, we had like a Zoom call with the architect and engineer, and they told me I didn't know what I was talking about, blah, 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 blah. Like, all right, whatever. So they did their thing. And this was the owner of the complex was hiring me to like kind of look at things. And then after it was built, the clubhouse, they wanted me to come back and just check airflow and just look at everything. All right, so load calc software. Here's my ADHD switching.
Okay, but don't go back to that story. I'm gonna keep you on track. I want to hear it.
Who put it on the screen?
I did. I knew it. I knew
this
this was gonna say. I should have put it on. This guy's gonna get crossed. I know.
All right. I love Quick Model. Quick Model is awesome, but there's definitely a learning curve if you're just trying to figure out like what the load is for a house and you don't care about duct design or anything else. You should look at Conduit. Getconduit.com. It's like you use an iPad with LiDAR and you just walk around. It takes like 10 minutes to do a load calc. Super easy.
Keep in mind, if you want to use Conduit, you have to get an iPad Pro. You can't just use a normal iPad. Yeah. You can't use your iPhone at this time. It's the iPad Pro, and it has to have LiDAR in it.
Go to getconduit.com and tell them HVAC Overtime. AT Madam sent you.
All right, go back to the other stuff.
All right. So, anyway, I went to go test the airflow at the clubhouse, and I went there a couple weeks ago initially, and I just checked the airflow in the cooling mode on each of these. And I did like the pressure drops in that, and the static pressure was off the charts. Airflow was low. So I told him, like, this is bad, and he sent an email out, and they're like, once again, I don't know what I'm talking about. So then he calls me back. He's like, I want you to do it over again. I want you to test heating and cooling. And then I want you to come back with a flow hood and test that was what they said. There's no way it could be wrong because we had it certified by a test and balance company to verify the airflow. So then they asked me to come back and check all the airflow, the delivered airflow at each one of the registers, right? So I went around and I tested all the airflows. These people freaking lied about everything. The test and balance company lied about every freaking reading they took and wrote down. Everything was a lie.
They just pencil whipped it.
Everything was a pencil whip.
That's it.
Wow.
Yep.
So now, like, what's the next step here? What's
I was supposed to write a report this week, but I think I'll do it tomorrow. And send it over. And once again, they're probably going to say I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to suggest that their test and balance guy meets me out at the job, and let's verify his readings.
Yeah.
Like, what's the rebuttal though? Because usually when you say like you don't know what you're talking about, you throw in some facts. You throw down a little bit. You're just not like you don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah. Why do you say that?
Well, he said that because we had it certified and the test and balance company verified the airflow. Yeah. But,
well, you hire a truck and a truck's test and airflow company, then, that's what you get.
I'm not going to duke it out. I'm just going to, the thing is, like, the architect, the engineer, all these people, the HVAC contractor, they're acting like I'm showing up there and being like, let me test your stuff. I don't give a crap if the crap works or not. You know what I mean? They hired me to freaking check it out for them.
You're not living there.
Party. Yeah.
But what's funny is you're like, I'm not gonna go toe to toe and fight this out. But then, as Joe has been witness to many, many times, Adam will spend countless hours on Facebook arguing with the dumbest of hillbillies about airflow and things that make absolutely no difference to the world.
Well, because people, there's people out there that actually read the comments and then they're learning as you go. You know what I mean?
I hope. We hope, Bill.
We hope. I mean,
Hammer just reminded me because he was talking about the last show when we closed off, Chris, the story about that manufacturer reaching out to both of you guys.
Adam and I both got a direct message from a major manufacturer apologizing for one of their
compressor
employees.
manufacturer.
Copeland. It was Copeland. COPELAND.
Yeah, the PR team from Copeland reached out to me and Adam apologizing for some comments, disparaging comments from one of their employees. And it was hilarious because Adam and I both have been like laughing about this because he posted something a while back. It was like a HVAC school article, wasn't it, Adam?
You're the king of the hillbillies, Ted.
And you know, like it turned into like a big long thing. The thing that got it all started was Tim DeStasio. I don't know if you guys know him. He's like a social media type deal. And that, but he commented on it and he said this article needed to be written. And then the dude from Copeland said,
"But did it?
Did it though?" And then like I responded to him. I'm like, did I say something incorrect? Like I always want to learn. So like, tell me if I said something wrong or whatever. And then Tim replied to him too. I don't remember what he said. He was kind of questioning it too. And the guy said, well, it has no ROI. I'm like, ROI. And then like Chris and Tim just battled it out and they were like fighting with the guy for a good.
Well, I just went in there saying like, what was wrong with it? Like I just asked the guy. And then that same guy, he was going around LinkedIn doing the same thing. Like he was commenting on my stuff too. He would leave nice comments, but then he would leave like some silly comments. And it was just funny though. The Copeland PR team reached out to us.
What does he mean by ROI? Like there's no return on investment of reading that? Like there's no benefit to reading it?
Okay, what was the article? It'll make sense because that was the whole point of the article.
It was good cop, bad cop. It was about CO, coefficient of performance of heat pumps. That was the whole time where like there was a bunch of people talking like there was a lot of HVAC companies and builders on Facebook telling people to turn on their emergency heat because when we had that cold snap, right?
Yeah.
And Ty made a video where you don't need to turn on your emergency heat, let it run, let the auxiliary kick in. And then I made a comment on one of the homeowner groups. And my problem is when I write something, I think I'm half dyslexic. And I know like you guys probably don't believe me or whatever, but I have to read things like 10 times. I got to read it over and over again. Otherwise it makes no sense usually. So I responded to a couple of these things and it sounded because I just did it really quick and I sent it. So it was like incoherent, you know? And then people were like, oh, this guy's an idiot, blah, 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 blah. So then I'm like, all right, I'm going to write an article.
Yeah. No, it was just funny. Like we don't even like, honestly, Adam and I don't, this guy's comments were just making us laugh. Like it was just like for real, this guy, because it was just like he quite didn't understand the article. So instead of saying I don't understand it, it was more like that doesn't make any sense, like kind of a thing.
Like the whole ROI comment and not like understanding it. It's all about perspective. Like I could read it and be like, this is fucking useless. This is pointless. But in my world, it would be pointless, or it could be pointless anyway, because it might not apply to what I do every day or what I see in my part of the world. So like it's about perspective.
So
well, then at the whole end of the deal, the funniest part was after a good freaking like 5 hours of going back and forth with the guy with Chris and Tim, the guy at the end of it, he said, I just think gas heat is more comfortable. That's what he said. I'm like, what? You work for a compressor manufacturer, dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest what?
But it was funny.
That's the whole mindset. Again, we were all at that place. I was at that place at one point in time too, but that was all the mindset that still exists, that furnaces blow hotter air, right? I like the hotter air coming out of my furnace as opposed to my heat pump. And, that starts the whole conversation going that, you shouldn't be feeling that air. You should just be feeling comfortable in your house, and you shouldn't be feeling air blowing on you. So there shouldn't be an argument of, I like that it blows hotter,
Yeah.
But I want to know what happened to him, because the email was funny. It was basically like, we apologize and it will never happen again.
Well, and just so you know, we didn't escalate anything. We didn't even, besides commenting back and forth with the guy, that was it.
Like nobody was tattling.
No,
they don't do that. We
don't care. We wouldn't even know who to contact at Copeland anyways. We have no idea.
Snitches get stitches.
That's right. Exactly. We don't rat here.
Exactly.
Bitches. So stitches.
Kind of bringing it back to what we started the show with was getting distracted. I personally,
that's right, ADHD, right?
This whole show, we should just call it ADHD. You know, let's put that in the title line. Okay, I'll put it in.
ADHD.
You'll forget.
ADHD.
Neurodivert. What? But I haven't been able to focus lately, and I've been fucking shit up this last week. I didn't tell you this, Bill and Joe, but I told Adam before the show. I did a package unit 2 days ago.
I bet you already told us this.
The curb adapter was wrong.
Yep,
right?
you told us.
Yeah, but what I didn't tell you was I got home and I realized it was wrong because of me.
Oh, no, you didn't tell us that.
It wasn't the manufacturer that fucked up. It was me. I ordered a custom curb adapter, and I totally messed up the measurements. And I went to go install it, and I was like, it doesn't fucking fit. Like, what happened? And I was pissed at the manufacturer. And I went home and checked my documentation before I called them. And I was like, motherfucker, it was my fault.
Did you figure out like
What happens?
how did you make that mistake? What'd you do?
I haven't gotten to the bottom of. So the way my brain works, when I make a mistake, I question like, wait. No, I don't think I made a mistake. You know, like, so I have to like go and double check. So all I know is I looked really quick and I saw that measurement that was wrong on my document. And I was like, all right, I don't even have time to figure this out yet, but I know I fucked it up. So bottom line, but it just so happened, right, that the curb adapter was wrong, but the offset of the curb adapter was literally 4 inches.
Oh, that's
like,
not bad.
So I set the AC on
Manageable.
there and used sheet metal and didn't need a curb adapter.
You just
Like, it all worked out.
You'd run to the Goodwill store and you buy a handful of t-shirts and just shove them bitches
Shove
right
them
in that gap.
corners and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Fill it full of spray foam, duct sealer,
But
whatever you got handy.
I feel like lately I haven't been there. Like, I haven't been there with work. I haven't been there with my content. Like,
Like you haven't done a live stream in what, 3 weeks?
not that long. I missed one fucking
No,
show.
No, two.
It's been 2 in a row.
Was it
streams.
2?
It's 2 in a row. I've
Yeah,
been
2 in a
counting,
row.
bro.
Well, one of them was because I wasn't feeling the stream. And then the next one was because my wife had been telling me for 3 weeks. And she even asked me, hey, when do you want to go to this hockey game with the family? And I said, that date right there. I'll skip the live stream that day. That's fine. And then
you forgot.
I forgot. And then I was like, I missed my live stream. And then I said, hey guys, I'll see you next week. And then my wife goes, no, you won't. Because we had to go to a hockey game. So yeah, that was a mess.
Ray was asking 2 inches on both sides or 4 inches all together?
2 inches on each side.
Oh,
And
that's not at all.
That's manageable.
the unit fit on the curb, had a 2-inch overhang, and the holes for the supply and the return, it was from a York to a Carrier, like an old residential style package unit. It was literally 2 inches on each side.
But at least it was too big.
Yeah.
The last time I saw a curb get screwed up was at one of my previous companies.
Yeah, no, this wasn't tiny.
It was too small. So the service manager at the time was like, hey, I can fix this. And he pulled all the flashing off around the curb, all the rubber member, like just gutted the curb, and it still didn't fit.
Oh,
And
so
now
what do you do?
installs,
Like,
he
shave
installs
some wood or something?
Doesn't he do like drywall and carpet for a living now?
It's real special.
Something special. But yeah, no, I've just been like not there lately. And I feel like, I don't know.
Dude, speaking of not being there, I have I switched companies, right? And I'm new in the company. They gave me like this shitty work van. So I got this shitty work van. And they're like, we're gonna upgrade you. Just bear with us. We're waiting for the new order of vans to come in. I'm like, oh, cool, So I'm not pressing to get all my stuff really loaded up in this van. But anyway, long story short, I got about half my shit in this van, and it's not as organized and meticulous as I normally get it. And for the first 3 days of me riding around in this van with my tools in a pile or just strewn about on the shelves everywhere, I was frustrated. I had anxiety about it. Like I couldn't sleep good. I'm like, I just gotta fucking do this, but I don't have time. And now I'm like looking at my tools. I'm like, it's not that bad. I have this like newfound, almost like a freedom of my OCD. Like I've let go. And then Adam was like, yeah, dude, my van's messy all the time. I'm like, that made me feel so much better. I just wanted to share that story with you guys.
My van is not as clean as it should be. There's stuff on the slider door. That's usually I have a couple buckets and they become catch-alls. So those start overflowing and then I clean my van. But
and like, I feel this sort of pride when when I open my van and there's other techs around, and they're like, "Oh wow, look at that!"
That's what I feel. Yeah,
there's this pride that I feel.
Joe,
But-
sometimes I've seen your van where you like open it up and it's top to bottom.
Yeah, where it looks like it's
all messy.
Yeah.
No. I'll go right now.
Absolutely.
100%.
I'll go right now
I
and show
agree.
you.
I agree.
You know,
I'm,
one of these days, Herman says he's going to be at the educators conference next week. One of these years, I want to go to that.
Hey, Herman.
It's crazy because it's only 4 hours away from me.
I wanted to go. I really wanted to go this year, but I'm going to be in Ohio next week.
Oh yeah, what are you doing in Ohio?
An NCI thing.
Cool.
Yeah,
What's the
not
class?
anywhere near me, or I'd come visit.
Is it a class you're teaching, or is it a class you're going to?
A little from column A, a little from column B.
Oh, got it.
Cool.
Where is it at again? Ohio?
Mentor.
Yeah, that's actually not too far away from me.
You know that?
I worked at one of the previous companies. I went there all the time.
So if anybody wants to come sit through an NCI class, it is air. What's the class? It's duct system optimization and air diagnostics or something like that. I can't remember the first one.
I take that back. It's too far for. I mean, that's out past Cleveland, bro. That's pretty far out there.
Yeah.
So back to, because we're all over the place, right? Back to
ADHD.
tab guys and the airflow measurement. You know, one of the things that I've been having a hard time with is when people, like, I went to a training class. Was it last week? I think it was last week.
No, it was the week before.
Was it the week before? Okay.
Manitowoc class.
What is the Manitowoc? I thought it was another one.
No, you went to an RSES.
Oh, I went to an RSES class. That's right. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's what it was. Thank you for being my personal assistant.
I read all this stuff down in my journal.
Wow.
Bill's got this creepy ass journal about me. Like, if anything ever happened, Bill's the person to talk to. No,
if
but
Chris goes missing, just ask me. I'll tell you.
One of the things that's frustrating is so in the RCS class, it was a great class, but they were talking about, it wasn't a manufacturer. It was someone teaching the RCS class that had nothing to do with the manufacturer, but they were talking about a manufacturer's product. And one of the frustrating things that when I go to classes, and I could tell that I didn't like this manufacturer just from the information that the person that was presenting had. And it had nothing to do with the presenter, but I can't handle when you can tell that they don't know how to test things. It was talking about heat pump water heaters, right? And the manufacturer they gave him all of his information, and it was just like the return on investment for a heat pump water heater properly installed for one of the high-end ones is fucking not there. Like, and nor will it be in a long time. You're talking damn near $8,000-9,000 for this fucking water heater, you know?
Not doing it.
And it's like, but the thing is that when they lead by saying there's an energy
California
rebate,
prices, by the way, people.
Yeah, but when they lead by telling you about the energy rebates first, you know, it's like that's fucking bullshit.
Well,
you know?
hey, they do have, like, I saw somebody posting a picture of them charging like $6,000 or $6,500 for it, and after all the rebates, the customer was responsible for like $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah, but the problem with the rebates is that's subsidized from our taxes. That's where I have a problem with that. So
better than sending it to freaking wherever it is going right now across the seas.
But
you know?
that just starts frustrating me. But okay, so I went off on a tangent on that one. But with the tab guys, how are they measuring airflow with the tab guys?
Well, he actually took a picture of them doing it.
What tools
they had an evergreen telemetry. They didn't measure the total system airflow. They were measuring delivered. He was using an evergreen telemetry, like one of those, because it's like the ceilings are tall.
Yeah.
So he had it on.
He has the extension pole.
Yeah.
So okay, so I don't know the answer to this, but my question is, okay, so the evergreen telemetry is not a powered flow hood. So how much are they affecting the flow by using a non-powered flow hood? Like,
well, they're like, I think it's like a minuscule. So I just watched the whole thing that Steve Rogers did with True Tech Tools, Bill Spone, on like the accuracy. The Energy Conservatory did a study on the accuracies on different flow hoods, right?
I remember that one.
And they can be off, But like if you looked, I can't remember like the how far off they can be. I mean, they could be a decent amount off, but like the difference between my measurements and his measurements, like, all right, you know, he lied about everything just because like the one system was a 5-ton and it had 1.6 inches of static, right?
It's a good question. I have no
And
idea.
he was saying that the delivered airflow was like 1,984. And I'm like, okay, so they basically have no duct leakage and magically, like if you guys are familiar with setting up airflow, basically high static like that, you don't get the delivered airflow. It just doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So like we were off by like 600 CFM. So it wasn't like a small, minute difference in measurements. Like we were, there's a huge, yeah.
There's some.
So you're saying that
huge.
that you don't think it's a very big, because I truly don't know the answer. So you don't think it's a very big difference using a powered versus a non-powered?
Oh no, I think it's worth it, and but I think the powered flow hood a lot of the times is probably more suited for residential. Like I don't think
because Jason did ask a question like, aren't powered flow hoods for low flow systems? You're not going to push 2,000 CFMs through a single powered flow hood. That's not going to happen, you know.
Yeah, no, but this is a residential system in a commercial setting, you know.
Yeah. I just, the thing is that there's not very many really accurate tools, and it's kind of scary to think about that. But the more experienced I get, the more I realize like a lot of the tools, like, you know, even the field piece job probes that I use
there.
Yeah, even the job link probes that I use on a daily, like those aren't super scientifically
Spend a
accurate.
half hour editing that out now.
You know,
you're right, Chris. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
So there's not a lot of like, you know, when you get into like the fancy Retrotech tools and TEC energy conservatory tools, yeah, they make some higher end stuff, but a lot of
I'm having a hard time focusing.
Are you? Yeah, we're talking about airflow. I'm sorry. This is kind of how it is when I talk about blower or boilers. When you guys,
the cool thing was, you could actually see my measurements from the true flow. The total system airflow versus the delivered airflow. They kind of tracked with each other fairly close. Like you could see what you could see like duct leakage, but it wasn't like a glaring difference in measurement.
Right. Joe, count down, see how fast I can do this while they talk about stuff.
Yeah, TEC is very accurate. And actually, that was the funny thing about the whole webinar thing. When he was comparing flow hoods, he showed a picture of each flow hood, but he didn't show the name or what they were.
Oh, yeah.
And the Energy Conservatory used to have their own flow hood, but they discontinued it. And that was one of the ones they compared. And on his chart, they showed all the measurements. The Energy Conservatory had the most accurate flow hood. But he didn't. And then Bill Spohn was like, they're like, flow hood A is this. And the second most accurate flow hood was the ASIN, the other powered flow hood. He wasn't naming it. And at the end, Bill's like, well, we could say what it is. The most accurate one is the Energy Conservatory. So.
Yeah, I would like Energy Conservatory to come out with a flow hood again. I would also like them to come out with, and I know it wouldn't be very, I don't know, but it would be nice if they came out with some more like wireless tools, some manometers. Like you already have the DG8. I guess the DG8 works, but it'd be kind of cool if they have something like that that's a little bit more user friendly, easy to use, like the DG8. And that could, because I guess the DG8 works with Measure Quick too, right? So yeah, you could use that.
What's your thoughts on in-duct hot wire? I guess, like, can I say it, or do you guys have an opinion on hot wires?
Go for it.
Do it.
So, like, I guess it depends on, like, if we're talking residential or commercial, right?
Well, yeah.
Residential, like, I kind of think hot wires are pretty useless. Like,
what's Chris looking for? What did I miss? Why is Chris over there?
Huh?
That's all they used in the past. And in the text.
No, I know. And but they had anemometers and that, but
yeah. Averages, anemometers.
The thing is, like, you need a certain amount of straight duct, right? In order to get accurate readings.
Are you guys talking about traversing a duct or something?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Hot wire anemometer that I happen to have.
There you go.
There's
what model is that, Chris? Go ahead.
There's a lot of room for user error. There's a lot of room for user error when you're traversing a duct with a hot wire anemometer.
It seems like a very inaccurate way, but I bet at the time it was the most accurate way they could do it, right?
So one thing I will say, so on the anemometer, the hot wire anemometer, this is a field piece one that I bought like STA2, old school, right? But there's measurement increments on it. And the whole point of the measurement increments is that you're going to traverse a duct and you're going to take, you're going to drill several, let's say you have a 2 foot by 2 foot square duct. You're going to have to drill 1, 2, 3 sets of holes, probably on a 2 foot by 2 foot square duct. And then you're going to have to take
something like that.
What do you think?
You need more than that. There's like I have it all written down.
I know it's in the paperwork of my paperwork.
Yeah, I don't.
But the thing is that you're going to have to take an equal measurement like 6 times in that 2 foot by 2 foot duct. Boom, 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 and then go down to the next one. Boom, 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 boom.
Clive makes a good point.
And you can't bend it. You can't have it going the wrong way. Nope. You can't have it turned wrong. Like everything has to be right. I don't know.
And if that's the case, then they need to give you like some sort of tool or something like a sleeve that mounts in there that it'll sit perfectly flat. So you can just guide it in there and it'll stay straight and it won't kick to the side or any which way like that.
So,
but obviously they have better ways of testing now. So it's
Clive's point right there is called a true flow grid.
Yep.
That's exactly what that is, Clive. That's called a true flow grid.
But it's not. They don't use a hot wire.
No. What do they use?
It's a DGA built into it. It's all pressure.
Yeah.
It's
pressure.
Not
true flow. It's using
pressure vanes or whatever. Isn't
it's pressure. There's a DGA inside. Yeah,
that's right.
I couldn't tell you. I wish Steve was on here so we could talk to him about it, but I know it's something to do with pressure and flow. So like there's certain size holes in the true flow grid, and I think it has something to do with if you know the pressure on each side of a known hole, you know the flow or something like that. I might be wrong. It's a pitot tube array.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He explained it to me before, but it's like I don't really need to know it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But as technology is evolving, we're getting more accurate tools, and they're getting a lot better, and they're slowly getting more affordable. I mean, the original True Flow grid was rather expensive, and it's definitely getting cheaper and cheaper, but more technology. So one time though, I had a test and balance guy come out and do an energy audit on a package unit that we installed. He came out on behalf of the state because apparently the customer got a rebate or whatever. And he came out, I'm not kidding with you, with like 5 of the original True Flow grids. And he had like 5 of their original manometers. And he had like pressure sensor, or the manometer tubes ran out, and like he had like cardboard everywhere. It just did not seem accurate what he was doing. Like, what the hell is this, dude?
Oh, that was the same thing. Steve told me like that actually is super accurate.
No, but the way he was doing it with this fucking cardboard in these weird places, it wasn't right, dude. What this guy was doing. I don't
Maybe
think
he was manipulating his cardboard to like give him the readings he wanted. You know,
I don't know. But keep going, Adam. What were you gonna say?
Maybe Bill.
He says it is very accurate. It's just like that has more of room for error than the new True Flow does.
Yeah.
I always use my sun hat, to test airflow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So funny thing about blower tables. Joe,
I don't think there's anything funny about those.
Fiducioso.
He was actually one of the winners early on of S-Man 380.
How do you remember that?
Because I'm keeping track. Just, if on our way down we can call him and say, hey, you owe me a dinner.
Like, hey, by the way, can we have those back?
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I've actually found there's certain blower tables that have errors in them. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Beware.
Interesting. And it's
but I would venture to say like they're probably not easily found, right?
No.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys got planned this weekend?
Not much.
No.
I gotta go spend money on my kid. She needs clothes. But
damn kids.
Growing out of stuff, man.
Wait till they're teenagers, bro. Wait till they're teenagers, man.
Don't tell me that, because the one will be a teenager when the other one's like 3 or 4 or something. So
yep.
That's gonna be bonkers, dude. What am I thinking? What am I
How old are
doing in
you?
my life? 41.
Dude,
Fuck.
you're gonna be retiring by the time
Which,
he gets out of your house.
let me tell you something. I was on this job the other day, completely unrelated, but I was on this job the other day, and we had an apprentice working with us, and I got to talking to this guy. Jameson is his name, cool guy, and we were talking, and just out of the blue, he's like, "How old are you?" I was like, 41. He's like, "Oh, you don't look 41. I would never guess that." I was like, I'll take that, bro. Thanks. And I was like, dude, just made my day.
He's like, you're like 50.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking later on. He's like, I wonder if he meant that I seem or look older than 40. Like, I would have guessed you're like 57.
I was in a restaurant, and we were doing an ice machine install a couple weeks ago, and we were just having a conversation, and one of the managers, I could hear her talking to the employees right next to us, and she goes, "Oh, we're going to Vegas." Like, and she mentioned something, and I go, she said in April, and I go, "Oh, when?" Like, I interjected into her conversation. I was like, "When in April are you guys going to Vegas?" And she said, "This date." And I said, "Oh, we're going the weekend of the 5th for my wife's 40th birthday." And she goes, "40? Ew." And I just looked at her, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I just got like age shamed right there."
She said,
She said,
"You?
"Ew."
How old?
Like
who is
40
this?
30.
She was probably like a 20-year-old manager or something.
Oh
And
my
she's
God.
like,
Wow.
"Ew." And I'm
I
like,
would feel
California.
so bad.
I thought it was funny. I was like, wow, I just got age shamed.
You know what? That makes a good point though. Like, you ever just like be walking about in a mall or walking anywhere, and like you might see some like hot 20 or 30 something year old, and you're like, you know what? I bet she likes me. I bet she looks at this and she's like, yeah, I want
100%
that.
not anymore,
Yeah,
bro.
no,
We're
she's
all
like,
old,
you're a
man.
creepy old man.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're thinking. They're thinking you, and you're thinking like, I could probably get that. I could
You know that
probably
once I
I could
had
probably get her.
daughters, like the whole idea of thinking someone was attractive when I saw them, now I look at them and I'm like,
That's somebody
what
else's
that chick's
daughter.
dads think. Like, that's what I think. I'm like, that's some
I
guy's
mean,
daughter. Like, that's all
I
I think
kind of
anymore.
thought that, but then I started going to this restaurant called Twin Peaks, and I don't think that no more.
Isn't that like Hooters or something? I think it
Yeah,
is.
but better.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I have no
much,
idea what that is.
much better.
No, Bill, they really don't. Mickey Mudo says.
I know that now, but
Yeah,
you
no.
know,
I'm just an old man now. So,
And
all right, well, let's wrap this up.
it's sad. It's sad, really.
Nah.
Good. Glad you're back, Adam.
Thank you.
How many bets? Who's gonna miss more shows this year, me or Adam?
Chris,
Gotta keep track.
I think it's gonna be Adam.
think so?
I think it's gonna be Adam.
I don't know. You might be right though.
Although I did make an arrangement with my wife that I would miss like every other overtime show, but she told me I didn't have to miss this one. So
You better not.
Yeah, you better not. Like we might have to sit down and have a talk with her. And like, listen, Jill, you can't be selfish. Okay, it's not all about you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you have Chris,
Plus.
and Chris has a gift that he needs to share with the world.
maybe not every other show, but we're gonna miss
Like once a month, we could
maybe
probably
once a
allow.
month, maybe a little bit more. We'll see.
Osvaldo says both. You might be onto something.
It's all about family and realizing that maybe I'm not, participating enough in my family and paying attention to things. So I got to do better.
Take
Yeah.
ADHD medication.
Well, you know, like I was telling you guys in our super secret chat, every night when I go to bed, I realize that today, being gone, is one less day that I get to spend with my kids. Who put that fucking mic in front of you, Joe?
Sorry.
Fucking flopping around over there in the middle of my just epic.
What, are you like
Sorry.
texting with someone or something, Joe?
No,
Like,
my hands get in the way. It's so big. It just hit
Like,
me.
what do I
I
do
just-
with my hand?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
They just get in the way. They're just so
Joe,
big and
just
manly.
freaking grab it. Hold your butt cheeks, Joe.
Just hold your butt cheeks.
You got a lot of hair on your arm though, Joe. Your arms are really hairy, huh?
Let's see that.
Dude, I think you need to go get fucking. that
Yeah,
cleaned up,
that's Italian right there.
man.
100%.
But you got to finish your eulogy.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
What
ahead.
was I talking
Sorry.
about? Oh yeah.
ADHD medicine.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's an inside joke, guys.
So like you'll never get that time back with your kids.
Right. Absolutely.
Something like that. Kids are important, whatever else. I don't know what the hell I was saying.
Yeah. That's
But
okay. As long as
goddamn,
you
they're
said
annoying
goddamn,
sometimes.
perfect, Bill. Perfect.
fucking ridiculous sometimes. I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about?
Well,
Nothing.
we need to
We're
end this
out of here,
because
man.
I'm
Oh,
about to say
well.
something stupid and
Over
Joe's
and
gonna be mad at me.
Oh,
So
sorry.
go ahead. Now.
Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm new to this.
You're jealous. Your hands aren't as big. They don't get in the way.
I got
But
other
you have
things that
small
get in the way
feet,
of
Joe.
my hands.
All right, that was good. Okay, good comeback. Good comeback. Good comeback.
Like on your arms, like how far does that hair go? Does it like go all the way up and then
All the way it wraps around his back, goes all the way down to his calves.
Yes, it's the false.
Like a
sir.
wing
How often do
suit.
you get that
Like
taken
it.
care of, dude?
Not often
Oh, do you-
anymore.
Do you shave your back, Joe? I bet you shave your back, don't
No,
you?
I never shave my back.
Oh, I bet you do.
No.
You better fucking end it.
I'm ending this show. I'm trying. Oh, there it's but I'm really close to ending it. Right here in the corner.
Hey, you got a
I'm
hairy
really
butt crack.
You got a hairy butt crack.
Later, guys. Thanks for coming out. You guys are awesome.
Let's whip it out.
You guys are awesome.